another episode of Strategic Minds Making Money Moves, trying to get that green together. Today, I am so excited. We have a wonderful guest with us today. We have Miss Robin James, a.k.a. Robin Blue. And we'll learn a little bit more about why that name is Robin Blue. She is from Smoke Atl. That's what we're going to talk about today. Aren't you curious? I know I am. I'm looking forward to this discussion. We're really going to talk about how do you deal as a woman in a man's industry. Now, a lot of us can relate to that from many different industries, so I'm really interested to learn more about this one. Welcome, Robin.
Thank you so much. I'm thrilled to be here.
Well, I'm glad to have you. I would love to learn a little bit more about your business, so talk to us about Smoke Atl.
So Smoke Atl is my baby. I sell cigar accessories, cigar pokers to the cigar industry, which, as we know, is a male-dominated industry. And so a cigar poker, and I have some samples that I'll show you later, is used at the end of a cigar when you're getting close to the end so you won't burn your fingers or your lips, or when you're trying to inhale and your cigar is a little tight, you can use the end to open it up. So I sell primarily on Instagram. Mm-hmm. I do have some cigar lounges that have my product, and I sell primarily to men.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So, talk to me about what your biggest challenge is from your perspective as being a female in that industry.
Well, women are early adopters for cigar pokers. Mm-hmm. And so when you're in a male-dominated industry and you have women as early adopters, when men see the product, they're like, oh, they're for women. And I'm like, no, I have unisex and I have, masculine looking pokers. And so that's the challenge that I really experienced because, they're early adopters and there are other, businesses out there that do cigar pokers, but they do a lot of, female, styles. And so when men see them, they're like, oh, no, they're not for me. And so that's my biggest challenge is around awareness and just, really influencing them to take a look at my collection. And even when I go to like cigar retailers, they're like, oh, I want just the ones for the women. And so, or not, predominantly a lot of more ones for the women. And I said, no, the ones for men are going to sell. Trust me on this one. Mm-hmm. So I think that's the biggest challenge is getting that message out there and creating a stream for that lane.
So when you talk about doing it for women versus for men, why do you think the retail is only asking for women? Is it because they think it looks like it's feminine?
Well, because women were early adopters. So when they saw the cigar pokers, most women have them. And so they didn't really see a lot of men with them. So then, naturally they said, oh, give me the one for women. Yeah. So that makes sense. So I'm not saying that men don't have them, but when you look at, across the market, you'll see more women with them. Mm-hmm. And so they're like, oh, give me the women, give me a lot of women. And I'm like, okay, but, and I do sell women, but my main target audience is for men because, there are more men smokers. Mm-hmm. And so for sheer economics, it makes more sense to me.
Absolutely.
Right.
And those that you have sold to men, what do you think was it that got them over the edge to say, oh, I want one, or I can see that, I could actually use this poker?
Because of the styling of it, and they would say, I don't want any bling on it. They would give me like a laundry list of things they don't want. I don't want any bling on it. I don't want it to look like this. And I said, well, mine don't look that way. And so I think it was the fact that it was, because I do custom pokers, so you can pick any color, so if you get if you get a man's favorite color, if you kind of understand who it is, and typically what I do is I look on their Instagram, and I kind of really figure out who they are as a person. So I'm kind of digging into it because I want to know who I'm selling it to or who I'm making it for. So that was it. And then, I really have to credit my brother a lot because, I said, hey, Bruce, I need some help on this. And as my brother, help me. So I think just finding, I do a lot of skulls. I do a lot of daggers. I do a lot of unisex type things. And it's interesting because a lot of women like those kinds of things because there's a lot of biker clubs or women who just love skulls and daggers and all those kinds of things. And so I think once I started, and I started early on switching over the market because everybody said, oh, you're going to do pretty bling bling, poker. So I said, no, I don't think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to do something a little different. And so once I started doing that, and once I saw what they gravitated to, and my brother got involved, it just kind of morphed, and I was just on there like, wow, I can't believe, that you as a woman have these types of products and they're just, have these types of, embellishments on them. And I said, yeah, so I think that's really what moved the needle.
Okay. Do you do any focus groups with men as you look at focus groups of understanding what they really want and what they're looking for? Or do you primarily rely on when they ask for something custom made that you learn about them as an individual?
I don't do focus groups per se, but I do when they're asking for, so like my collection, when I go out, I typically take something like this with me. So I have this, and this is how you use a poker. You'll put it in here, and then you can open it up like here when I was mentioning it earlier. So I'll take something like this with me, and this is two-sided, and then they'll look at it and they'll see which one they pick. So I'm looking at which one they're picking. So if they're picking a wood one, if they're picking a single stone, this one's got a skull. So I'm observing that. When I vend, I see what sells. So I haven't done focus groups, which is a phenomenal idea, but I'm kind of watching on what is being sold, either online or, when I'm out and about.
Well, we're going to take a station break for just a moment. And when we come back, I want to talk to Robin more about the opportunities of scaling this opportunity and really thinking about how do we get more of the market to understand where we're really trying to go. We'll be right back.
Strategic Minds, Making Money Moves with Vicki Wright Hamilton focuses on helping entrepreneurs to overcome their business challenges to help increase their bottom line. Each episode provides strategies for growth and transformation. Watch Vicki share her 20-plus years of experience as a corporate executive to help entrepreneurs level up.
Strategic minds making money moves. When we think about that, we think about strategy. Do we know that strategy is in every single thing we do? But when I think about all the components that we have to consider, when we're trying to talk about a solution to any given problem, those things in my mind, we need to take that solution and measure it against those 4 things consisting of: how much money is this going to take? How much money do I need to make? What kind of process do I have to have in place? What are the things that I need to plan for in order to make it happen? What kind of people or skill sets do I need? Do I have them today? Will I need them tomorrow? If I have them today, do they have skill gaps? What are those gaps? How will I fill those gaps? When we think about our customer, the ultimate customer are the people that we're asking to believe in us. That ultimate customer wants to know that you have their best interest at heart. So you have to do your homework. What is my customer really looking for? How do I know it? I know my customer is looking for this because I did my market research. I looked to find out, I did focus groups. I talked to people. And guess what? I went to my target audience to get the direct information for what I needed. I didn't guess. I didn't assume. I didn't just think that because I want to do it, it's the best thing to do. So when you're thinking about all of your strategies and you want to make money, make sure that you're looking at every single aspect so that you don't leave any stone unturned, that you make sure that everything works just as you need it to work to make that what? Green on the bottom line. So welcome back. I have my phenomenal guest here, Robin, talking about Blue Smoke Atlanta. And we're learning all about pokers. And this is really interesting to me. Really want to understand more. Now, before we took our break, you were talking about how you watch from a vending machine, from a vending perspective as to which one they choose. But if you were going to sell in masses, so is your vending normally one-on-one, or is your vending more of when I go to the retailer as a supplier, as a vendor supplier to them, to put my pokers in their shop, I'm looking to see what they are purchasing?
Both. So I'm an ambassador for Atlanta Cigar Week. They had a vending opportunity for me, so I had a booth. I'm putting out 90 pokers, and I'm seeing what they're buying. So I'm making a mental, I'm writing down, okay, this is what they bought. I know what I supplied. So if I sold to a retailer, I'm seeing what they buy as well. And then what I do when the retailer is getting up and moving, I take this case in addition to what they buy. Mm-hmm. So they might have bought 20. But then I want to see what was sold from their collection and what was sold from my collection. And then, we split it just because they can have even more than what they originally, to kind of get them up and going and trying to really partner with them. So I'm looking at all those dynamics to see, what is being sold. And then they say, and not even so much custom, but then they'll say, well, do you have something with? Mm-hmm. And that's when I say, 9 times out of 10 I do because I have over 150 pokers, or if I don't, I can make that for them.
Okay. So do you have any opportunities where there are conferences or even things where you're getting a booth, but conferences where you can speak to actually talk about your business and what you do in poker and with the pokers in your development?
I haven't had any conferences. COVID has been really challenging for getting out there for a lot of businesses. Right. And so this isn't new news. So conferences, so a lot of the conferences and the events that I would normally go to have been canceled. And so I would say that in 2021, that could be an opportunity, but in 2020, no. Because everybody is virtual. I mean, you can do it via Zoom, there's Zoom and Skype and all that other stuff. But I haven't really focused on that yet, but I think it's another opportunity.
So, it is, because what happens is if you can get it on a digital platform as well as an in-person platform, what you're going to do is double your opportunities to actually get the message out there. And maybe you do a platform under your business that you're doing also education. Right? So I'm going to not only, talk about my business, but I'm going to educate you on some of the differences. I'm going to get some of the men in there and say, look, I'm having a webinar about so-and-so, and I really want to get your input. Use them as that focus group as you're talking about those things, but also at the same time, be able to educate, because you're saying some of the basic problems you're having is education. Right? So I agree with 2020 being an issue. We all are suffering from it. Right. But I also agree that what's going to happen is things are going to evolve. Right. Because things have been successful virtually, I don't see virtually going away. Right. Right. So we're going to do in-person and virtual. So we got to figure out how do we cross-pollinate that opportunity so that we're able to do both as we're moving forward. So I think that that would allow you, especially with doing Instagram and things that you're doing moving forward, as you're getting more and more opportunities to see what people are following, what they're purchasing, what they're asking for. Even doing a small, and I hate surveys. I hate to call them surveys, but small things where you're asking a question or two online through your audience just to gain some feedback. Because what you're trying to do is use this opportunity to get feedback so you know how to better plan and scale. Right. So how do I scale my business as I'm doing it? And in that male-dominated industry, that's what we're facing, right? I mean, you're going into all these men that have these preconceived notions, that this is the way it's supposed to be and it's going to be that way. And it's kind of like any industry that is predominantly men, we have to help them to understand where women play and how we can play, right? And I don't know if you have any experienced men, older men, that are closer to retirement or closer on that edge where they just want to sit back as mentors. Because sometimes they can give you insights from that male perspective too. I would, as you're looking at the cross plethora of that, I would recommend looking at the different generations. Your brother's one generation, somebody else is another generation, because there can be likes and dislikes among generations, as you're continuing to move forward. From a male perspective, because we know how generations come in thinking differently, right?
Right.
The newest one, Generation Z is very different than the millennials, and they have different thought processes. But if we can understand how they are manifesting their thoughts from a male perspective when it comes to this, you can continue to grow your business even further.
Well, that's a great point, because I am in the program Elevate with the Urban League, and so that's an opportunity where they take businesses and help them grow and have mentors, and my mentor's a male, and so they have an awesome program where they're really helping businesses grow and, being able to ask somebody questions, on a weekly basis. And who doesn't want somebody who you can go to ask questions? So they're a great organization. So that's definitely something I can propose to them as well.
Yeah, that would be great. That would be great, because that would give you the opportunity to expand, as you're doing it. I know the Urban League has a phenomenal program, and they're have such a wealth of knowledge and a huge community.
Right.
And what we really want to do is educate our community, right? We want to get that education out there. And then the other thing that we're going to take a break, but when we come back, I want to talk a little bit about what it means as we show up as a woman in a male-dominated industry. And then we'll take a question or two from the audience.
Sounds great.
Okay, we'll be right back.
Strategic Minds, Making Money Moves with Vicki Wright Hamilton focuses on helping entrepreneurs to overcome their business challenges to help increase their bottom line. Each episode provides strategies for growth and transformation. Watch Vicki share her 20-plus years of experience as a corporate executive to help entrepreneurs level up.
Strategic minds making money moves. When we think about that, we think about strategy. Do we know that strategy is in every single thing we do? But when I think about all the components that we have to consider, when we're trying to talk about a solution to any given problem, those things in my mind, we need to take that solution and measure it against those 4 things consisting of: how much money is this going to take? How much money do I need to make? What kind of process do I have to have in place? What are the things that I need to plan for in order to make it happen? What kind of people or skill sets do I need? Do I have them today? Will I need them tomorrow? If I have them today, do they have skill gaps? What are those gaps? How will I fill those gaps? When we think about our customer, the ultimate customer are the people that we're asking to believe in us. That ultimate customer wants to know that you have their best interest at heart. So you have to do your homework. What is my customer really looking for? How do I know it? I know my customer is looking for this because I did my market research. I looked to find out, I did focus groups. I talked to people. And guess what? I went to my target audience to get the direct information for what I needed. I didn't guess. I didn't assume. I didn't just think that because I want to do it, it's the best thing to do. So when you're thinking about all of your strategies and you want to make money, make sure that you're looking at every single aspect so that you don't leave any stone unturned, that you make sure that everything works just as you need it to work to make that what? Green on the bottom line. Welcome back. As you know, we're sitting here talking to Robin Blue all about her business. And before we took our break, we were having conversations and you were talking about being with the men. And yes, I understand that, men do buy, but you're actually a female trying to work a man's industry.
That's true.
So the question becomes, how do we show up? Do we show up in a way that a man can hear us? One of the things that I think about, being in a male-dominated industry myself as I was in technology, is that they have their own preconceived notion as a man how you're supposed to show up. But what are you supposed to show up when you're a woman? And how do you get them to take you seriously? How do you get them to understand who you really are? And some of the things that, that we have to look at being in that kind of industry, a male-dominated industry, is A, talking their language, but also what's in it for them. So we have to begin to talk about how we're helping you, how we are helping men to do A, B, and C. We're taking it forward for you and the male industry. We're making things happen for you. Because what happens is they look at our outer shell, and that's what they see. The first thing they say, well, she must be selling women poker, so I don't need to listen to her, right? She must be doing all things for women. It has nothing to do with me. But if you can make that connection of what's in it for them, and you can make that connection of, look, I'm going to show up, and I'm talking the same game you talk. It's kind of like when we talked about golf. You remember a time when there wasn't women playing golf?
Right.
And it was just men, but we had to learn the game, learn the rules, learn the numbers so we could join the conversation.
Right, exactly.
So the deal is you're very educated. You know this industry inside and out. Let it show. Let your understanding of what men want show. And you got that from your data you collected, from the focus groups that you're having, from the people you're talking to, from the mentors you're getting, from going to cigar bars and just listening. Not that they know you're a vendor. I just want to listen. I just want to go socially out to hear what they're doing. There's nothing like that informal focus group where you getting that in because they have no idea that you sell it. So then you get more information. Right. So I just think that there's lots of ways that you can show up differently because you've got more information than they have. And the more data and analytics you have, the more information you can share what really is, the more they'll begin to respect you as a woman. And as you continue to move forward.
I think because I've smoked for 15 years, that helps with the conversation as well. Because, not only do I sell pokers, but I smoke and I use them. So that always helps the conversation. So, I think you're making some great points on that. It's just really, reaffirming, your position. Because I do know about this industry. I'm a smoker and I'm in it. So
Exactly. But when you start to hear that social conversation, we sitting at a cigar bar, nobody knows what I do. And the men are sitting there and I'm sitting with them. And you know how we having that drink and having that cigar at the same time and you learning and you like, okay, I hear what you're saying. I need to incorporate a little bit of that, So those social settings can also help us move forward. So I wanted to ask my audience, do you have any questions?
Yes, hi. Nice to meet you and very good to learn about your product.
Thank you.
As women, we're natural gifters and we're always trying to find the right gift, especially for the older seasoned man that already has everything. Is there a market for even selling more to women who are buying for men?
That's a great question because one of the strategies that my mentor for the Urban League gave me was to really start using my Instagram to target for the man who has everything. Because cigar smokers have a collection of toys. If they've got a cutter, they've got their lighter, they need their poker, they've got their leather case. And so that was one of the strategies that he was talking about. And, women are gifters and they do buy, and the holiday season is here. So, I'm so excited. It's my favorite time of year. So that is a great question. They are gifters. And I love it when women say, I want to buy something. And I'm like, oh my goodness. I'm like, yes. So great question. Thank you.
And not to mention Father's Day, and, and birthdays and things like that.
I love holidays.
Exactly.
Holidays.
Leverage them for all that they're worth. Well, thank you so much for your question. I'd like to ask the audience to join me in thanking you so much for having my guest on the show today, Miss Robin, as known as Robin Blue from Blue Smoke Now, we look forward to seeing you next week on our next episode. You don't want to miss out. We have more exciting topics coming up, and we're looking forward to meeting with you. Have a great one.